We have the second half of the matchup matrix for Eternal Weekend.
Next on Eternal Turtles.
Hey, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of our Patreon supporters out there. Thank you to the Dirtle Maniacs. If you want to be a Dirtle Maniac, go to patreon.com/EternalDirtles and help support the channel. It keeps things going. It keeps things updated. Thanks so much for watching. On with the show.
Hello and welcome back to Eternal Dirtles. I'm your host, Zach Clark. With me, as always, Phil Blackman. Phil, are you ready to finish up this matchup matrix?
Yes, I am.
All right, we're starting off with Painter's Servant. We're playing Red Painter is the deck of choice, and we're going to be playing against the first matchup is Frogniator. What's important in this matchup?
Your Red Blasts.
Red Blaster, yeah, I agree. Red Blaster, huge. Almost everything that you're doing here can as far as what you have to worry about your opponent can be Red Blasted. That isn't like reanimate or entomb. So I think the number one thing you want to do is start off with just stopping them from sculpting their hand if you have to. Kill frogs. Like, Red Blaster's so good against frogs here because, like, it doesn't matter what they're getting rid of. Like, as long as they don't reanimate, like, Archon is like the worst thing they can reanimate against you, right? Like, everything else you can sort of deal with, at least to a point. Like, and you're a faster combo deck than them. Like, once you burst, you're done. The game is over. So all you have to do is like get your combo active. And there's not really a lot that they can do sideboard wise, especially in game one, to stop you.
Turns out that combo means a combination of cards, and if your Red Blast go after the cantrips that would otherwise assemble that combination, and then you have incidentally the Urza Saga package that gives you free graveyard hate in the main, then you're more or less pretty well set up. So it's of course you have to situate everything pretty well, but the Force of Will should more or less be kept in check. And you get to sort of play the control role until you're ready to combo, since they are faster than you. So, yeah.
All right. Painter versus Red Prison. I think this is a situation where the Urza Sagas you have are honestly like kind of you're at parity with Urza Sagas a lot of times with these two decks. And you're probably also not worried about their Blood Moon, Magus of the Moon situation. But their actual creatures can become threats against you, especially if they can pull out a fast clock like Pyrogoyf or Caves of Chaos Adventure. Like, if they can get a clock going, you're both ostensibly Ancient Tomb decks. So that could be a problem if you go too low too fast.
I think luckily, though, that the fact that Painter is a combo deck and Urza Saga are going to get taxed pretty heavily by the Blood Moon effects, but the fact that, like, you have a combo that you know is otherwise not going to be disrupted because they aren't playing any instant speed interaction, and you're both on Vexing Bubbles. So
yeah,
the fact that you can just be a combo deck here is where you should be.
Not to mention, like, if you get a Painter out and you just name red, like, or you name blue, you now have removal for all of your opponents, like, online, on-board permanents.
Eternal Dirtles is proud to be sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is the best deck building website on the internet. You can find all of my and Phil's decks in links below, including decks from this episode. And if you do, you'll be directly supporting the channel.
Yeah.
All right, Dimir Frog versus Painter. Red Blast is good here.
If you're playing Painter against Dimir Frog, the difference is your Pyro Blast get a lot better because Tamios are also a target.
Yeah. And you're not worried about some haymaker from them, really. Like, who cares about a Murktide Regent? Like, all you're doing is either comboing fast against this deck, or you are, like, you're set up for the short game and the long game, I think, better against this deck than you are against Frogniator.
Yeah, this game's just going to try and close the door against you faster because they actually have threats that they can depose around their Days in Wasteland package. So they aren't comboing you. They're just going to try and tempo delver you. And that means that they're going to try and tax your Ancient Tombs. So be mindful.
Painter versus Eldrazi.
Combo them.
Combo. Yeah, this is the situation where bring in your Blood Moons in the board, because obviously you can just stop them from being able to play Magic against you if you can get out an early Blood Moon against these decks. But yeah, for the most part, you just want to be the combo deck. You're not so much worried about your life total because there's not a lot that they can do against your combo, especially because like what is they're gonna get like they have Kozilek's command to like kind of mess with you, but aside from that, they have no instant speed interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Painter versus Painter, play in the mirror.
I always think that these are just going to devolve down to Urza Saga matchup, beat down like whoever's the better Urza Saga deck. You have more experience with that than I do.
Yeah, I think in this scenario, I was going to say this feels much like 8-cast versus 8-cast when like the person who prioritizes the you have that combo for sure, you can do the combo, but the person who prioritizes Urza Saga and leverages that the best, whether that be making your opponent use resources to not lose the game to your Urza Sagas, or just attacking and winning with Urza Sagas while stopping their combo. It's just really going to come down to like who gets more Urza Sagas, who leverages them better. Mystic Forge combo versus Painter.
Combo them.
This one's tough because I this is two ships passing in the night. Like neither one of them really has any interaction aside from the fact that you have those red blasts. Like, but I don't know that there's a lot that's blue. Maybe you get the Painter out and you have the red blast, but like the Mystic Forge deck, just I feel like it's slightly less good in this match. Like they're both very close to 50%, but I feel like the red blasts help you out because you do actually have interaction if you can get a Painter out against them.
Mystic Forge is always going to be a deck against anything that's ships passing in the night. It's just not interested in what's across the table from it. So if you're a combo deck, combo them.
Yeah. Nadu combo.
I think you're a faster combo deck, and also 7 red blasts against the critical juncture spells. Like it'll be hard for them to resolve a Nadu, and it's hard for them to resolve a Teferi. Urza Saga is going to be strong against them, backed by Pyroblast. So you sort of get to be the tempo deck. I mean, they have Swords to Plowshares and everything that you need to be mindful of, but for the most part, I think like you have time because you can leverage your Pyroblasts. And even if they draw a bunch of cards, like your win is activated ability. So
yeah, your combo deck with 8/8s really is what it comes down to. Especially since you have Vexing Bobble main deck, you can just toss that down and then be like, okay, well, like you can't do Force of Will shenanigans against me. I'm just going to start doing my thing. And they don't have a lot of interaction in the main deck against you. And then afterwards, a Blood Moon can stop these decks to a point, but you want to watch out for their mana dorks.
I think for the most part, if you're playing Painter, you're just hoping to run against people who have blue pips in their deck. So this is the one where a combo deck is reliant on a blue pip creature is good.
I think I am. So now we're looking at Cephalid Breakfast. I think I am like 40% against this deck, which is good for me against this deck. But this is a very hard matchup. Like you really have to, most of my wins have been from my opponent not realizing that like I have a combo in my deck, or being sort of unfamiliar with this matchup and making the mistake of milling me out while I have like a green mana open, and not having the red elemental blast for the memories journey or something like that. I feel like this is the Painter and Red Prison are decks that are relatively cheap to get into comparably to the rest of the format. That a lot of people who are newer to the game are playing. So be aware of just the tricks that your opponent, like the common things your opponent can do if you try and mill them out. And this is a deck where it's very dangerous to mill them out if you don't have ways around them just untapping and playing their win con.
Yeah, you have the experience in the matchup. I have nothing to add in addition to what you said.
Painter versus Sneak and Show.
Ooh, Pyroblasts are good against Show and Tell, aren't they?
They are. They're not good against sneak attacks. So if they're prioritizing their sneak attacks, you're in trouble. But you are the faster deck here.
You're the faster deck, and their main means of interaction is Force of Will, and you're a Vexing Bauble deck, so you should be able to combo them faster if you're on a fast Ancient Tomb draw, and your Pyroblasts can stymie the way for them if they, because like for them to win via sneak attack, they need, you would need Emrakul as opposed to any of your other threats, and that's 5 mana as opposed to your being able to deploy 6 mana over the course of several turns. So
what I just said also about like be aware of what your opponent can do. You don't want to be grindstoning this deck. It's not. It's not. That's not a good play. Unless you're like on the surgical extraction plan against them, I just don't see it.
The way that you win is you have to get a Soul Guide Lantern into play, and then with the triggers on the stack, you strip the graveyard. So it's an additional step. So you have to leverage your Power Blast.
Yeah. All right. Painter versus Doomsday.
I mean, I would
'em.
think that you just. I mean, your grindstones, incidentally, to mess up the pile is really the trick. You don't even need a painter for that. If we let them Doomsday and with a grindstone on the table, the onus is on them to figure out if and when you are going to grind them.
Yeah. All right. Jeskai Control versus Painter.
Power Blast is so good against 3-mana walkers, man.
All right, moving on to Mystic Forge Combo. Mystic Forge Combo is your deck. You are playing against Frogniator.
Can we just blanket that Mystic Forge Combo is just like hope they let you resolve your 4-mana spells and that's it across the table because that's all they do?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part,
I don't mean that like demeaning. I mean, like that's the deck. That's what it does.
That is what the deck is trying to do. Yeah, the main thing I think with Frogniator, let's see, Frogniator, Demir Frog, against Nadu combo, Cephalid Breakfast, and Sneak and Show, and Jeskai Control, and maybe to some point Doomsday is like Vexing Bobble or Defense Grid, like one of those two, and then just do your thing unfettered, right?
Yeah, you're a Vexing Bobble to turn off their shit, and then you cast a 4-drop.
Yeah, there's not, to some amount of those decks, you're going to be applying pressure with Urza Sagas, but for the most part, like just to give you a quick like what an opponent did to me on Sunday, it was a race situation, and I had out like I was in a combo the next turn. He had out a 8/8. I pass turn. He makes another 8/8 or 9/9 or whatever, and I have enough life that I can be hit by one of those. Plays the whatever the thing that untaps things when you cast a spell. I forget what the name of that like 6-mana artifact is that like
it's you cast. 5-mana artifact is called Paradox Engine.
Yeah, Paradox Engine. He played Paradox Engine, played a key, got to untap everything, tapped his all his mana, made like extra mana, made one of his constructs unblockable, played another spell, untapped everything, made the other construct unblockable, and killed me. I was expecting death in a completely different way. And that's just the thing that can happen. That deck can find ways to like play a wholly different game with you. So just something to think about. Watch out for Paradox Engine if you're trying to like live that life, I guess. Red Prison is interesting because now you have to watch out for their Painter like plus Red Blast combo. They have interaction that way, and the Bobble doesn't care so much. If you're on Defense Grid, you're in a slightly better situation. I think the deck should be moving to Defense Grid after seeing how good Defense Grid was against any deck that wants to interact with you. If you're a Mystic Forge combo, because you don't care about Fairy Macabre, it doesn't disrupt your combo at all.
Yeah.
Demir. Eldrazi and Mystic Forge combo is literally just be as fast as you possibly can. You're both like very like just linear decks, and you want to be the deck that does your thing faster. And
I think Sowing Michael Spawn is the difference maker here, because you can you have Wasteland and Sowing Michael Spawn to strip your 4-drop opponent trying to do anything. So if you're
watch out for Mystic Forge.
If you're Mystic Forge, I mean, there isn't really a way that you can watch out for Michael Spawn. Like, you can't. That's the whole point of why Michael Spawn is good, is you can't watch out for it. So I think you just have to, like, hopefully if you're on Mystic Forge, you're winning the die roll.
Painter Servant. Sorry, I said Red Prison's plan for Painter Servant and vice versa. So we'll say Red Prison here. The Red Prison matchup, I think the same thing applies for the most part, but it's basically just like, you're both just trying to do your thing unfettered. Like, your one deck is trying to slam as much random stuff that like stops your opponent from playing the game in Prison, and then the Mystic Forge deck is just like, I'm just going to try and win as fast as I can. So like, if you're the Red Prison deck and you're playing Chalice on 1 is probably your best friend here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so.
Doomsday, you're just trying to be the better combo deck, the faster combo deck, and you have, if they pass turn after casting Doomsday, you've got a lot of a chance right there, because you're gonna get one more draw, one more untap, and so you have to set yourself up in a situation where, like, if it's past turn 2, you have a much better chance of winning this game. If they get to Doomsday on turn 1 or 2, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think that they're disruptive and they're a single card combo, and you don't really have a clock to apply pressure on them. So, I mean, I think it would just be like, you got to try and lock them as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And that's, and the way that you do that is Vexing Bauble plus things. So,
yeah. Jeskai Control versus Mystic Forge combo. I feel like Jeskai Control just doesn't have the clock that would worry this deck that much. They have, you've got to watch out for like Wrath of the Skies and stuff, but like, you're so much faster than this deck. Like, a Wrath of the Skies costs 3 mana at best to like get your stuff off the board. And I think that you're just so much faster than that.
Vexing Bauble into Karn is your way you win this matchup.
Yeah.
You don't care about the walkers, but the walkers can check One Ring. So you just go into Karn, start liquid metal coating their lands.
Phil, I just, while we're doing this and before we go into the next thing, I think the next time we do an episode like this, because I like the format, but I think what I want to do is interview like deck specialists and get their opinions on these, totally. and then like chop it up and do it like that. So like this is a test pilot for like what will eventually be a much better and more thought out episode. So, because like right here, like it would be really cool to have Mapson come on and be like, all right, Mapson, tell me about Nadu combo versus Frogniator, and just totally. Like go all the way down the line. I think that would be interesting and be like a really cool, like, and then people can tune into their spot. That would be kind of cool.
And it would also offer more insight than what we can do for decks that we haven't played.
Agreed. Anyhow, so, keeping that in mind, something we'll think of to do the next time. We've got Nadu combo versus Frogniator.
I mean, Nadu having Source of Plowshares to weather the storm a bit, and then you have a combo that can just bury the opponent. Like, they have Atraxa to reload, but that's going to be a one-time conversion. Whereas if you can just stick your threats pretty cleanly, like, it feels like it would be a good matchup. And the way that you lose it is they just go under you because your mana costs.
Yeah, going under you, playing like Trollakaza Doom like on turn 2, and like just swinging in for a couple of turns while you're trying to build up your board to be able to even block it. Is I think how you like lose this game. We're like playing into days while you're trying to get things to happen. Now you have access to like Teferi, right? Like you can bounce it with Teferi.
Yeah, the thing is like the Nadu deck does need some amount of development. So if you can just get them before they develop, that's usually how I would imagine it goes. It's like you're just faster, and then you overload them before they can deploy their resources. Yeah. So
be careful about days.
Yeah.
Okay, Nadu combo versus Red Prison.
Oh, combo them. Just bury them.
You just want to, I think you just want to like get out the combo as fast as possible, and they're not going to hit your white cards with anything really. Like some of these decks are playing Lightning Bolt, but like if you're in a situation where like they played a Lightning Bolt on your core, I guess that's preferable. But like also they have to play it when core is the only creature out. And you can fetch for like a Dried Arbor or something like that and be like, no, you hit the Dried Arbor instead. So like there's not a lot of ways for Red Prison to get your stuff off of the board once it's on the board. And so I think that this is a situation where like it's going to be very hard for them to keep up with you if you can just get your combo to happen and they don't have any great interaction. Like Green Sun Zenith for Nadu ends the game,
Yeah.
All right. Dimir Frog. I think a lot of what I was saying about Frogniator is sort of the same. If they can go under you, that's a worst case scenario for you. If you're playing like directly into days, like if anything, this deck is slower than Frogniator. So like, I think you can take a little bit more of your time and sort of play the control deck role against them and just get through there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Nadu combo versus Eldrazi.
I would think that, again, this is one where you just want to put the combo into play faster than they can overload you.
Yeah, ideally, if you're able to, like turn 1, turn 2, like core into into Nadu, or like, not core into Nadu, but like, turn 3 Nadu into turn 4, like do the thing. I think that's really where you want to be. And it's going to be very hard for that deck to disrupt you, because especially if you're on the play, your turn 1 play being a mana dork into turn 2 play being Nadu, they don't have a real great way to get rid of that main board. Now they'll bring in dismembers and stuff, so you want to play around that in the second game, but it'll be very hard for them. Like, basically, if your turn 2 play is Nadu, even if they cast a Stowing Microspawn against you, you're still going to have mana to cast like a core the next turn. So I think, honestly, like that, or like Bristly Bill, you're going to start to get a couple of draws. And if you can just get ahead of this deck a little bit, you can kind of like infinitely chump block this deck. So, you're going to get to a point where you're just going to go over top of them, and you can do your like infinite guys thing, or like infinite height on your guys thing. So the thing here to do is to just like get Nadu out, prioritize that. Nadu combo versus Painter. You got to watch out for those red blasts.
Just watch out for the red blast. Watch out for the red blast, and then if you can just like make sure that you don't get blasted, and then you can combo. Like, even if they blast, but if you have assembled the combo, and then you can just draw a bajillion cards, and then there, that's how you have to overload their power blast.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mystic Forge combo versus Nadu combo. I think this
Same
is.
thing.
I think you're a dog in this particular match, just because like you just have Force of Wills. That's the only relevant card you have in your deck against them.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You got to combo as fast as you can, and unfortunately, a bunch of their stuff that they're going to put into play, Mystic Forge will bury you. But if they go Karn, you get to untap.
Yeah.
If they go One Ring, you get to untap, and then you get to combo a bunch. So you won't be able to attack, but you'll be able to threaten lethal, which might be good enough. So
my biggest issue here is that your combo doesn't end the game. It just creates a situation where most decks can't get past you. Their combo can end the game. So I think the thing you want, especially like if the Mystic Forge deck gets to get a One Ring out against you, they're probably going to chain that into more One Rings. So if they can time walk you a little bit, that's going to suck for you. So think about that when you're sideboarding, and figure out what you want to do from there.
Mm-hmm.
The mirror. Don't let them get Nadu out. Remove core nomads at all costs from your opponent, I think, is the best 2 things you can do in the mirror. I don't have a lot of experience in this mirror, so I couldn't tell you much more than like, you don't want them drawing more cards than you. You will lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
You're both doing the same fair thing. Against Cephalid Breakfast. Now, coming from the other end of this, I know that I want to keep their core nomads off the board. I also know that they don't have a lot of removal for my Shuko as a Cephalid Breakfast player. So think about ways that you can keep that you can do things to keep their Shuko off the table, because they're playing more interaction than you as far as like dazes and Force of Wills are concerned. They have Swords, Plowshares and stuff like that too, but they're going to be trying to protect their combo. So you have to be mindful of their combo, but also be mindful of the fact that like Nadu and a core, or Nadu and a Shuko, probably just ends the game for you either way.
Mm-hmm.
Sneak and Show versus Nadu combo.
I would again think that this is where you just combo them as fast as you can, or overload them such that even if they annihilate you, you have combo.
You have like
you
6
have so many resources
still.
that it just doesn't matter. Yeah.
I think that's the best case scenario, is like put yourself in a situation where like 6 permanents off the board doesn't matter to you.
Yeah, I mean, when you combo with Nadu, you're just flipping your deck. So
yeah. All right, Doomsday versus Nadu combo. I will also say this about Sneak and Show. I think the same thing applies to Doomsday. You're kind of a dog because like you don't have a lot of ways out of this combo. So like game 1's very bad for you.
Yep.
But Doomsday versus Nadu combo, I think Doomsday. I saw Mabson playing Unmoored Ego, which is a very interesting card to play against Doomsday, because then they literally just can't win if you resolve an Unmoored Ego. Like if you take both of the Cephalids out of their deck, they just have frogs, and I think you can handle like just frog. Like you're also playing Swords and Plowshares, so I think you're good there. But Unmoored Ego as a sideboard card seems like a great spot.
Have I told you about my friend Extract?
Extract is also good, but sometimes they play two.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, I think most decks are playing 2 Thassa's Oracle. So Extract will be cute, but not cute enough, I think. Yeah. All right. Jeskai Control versus Nadu combo. I think this is a specifically very bad situation for you because they have so much interaction, so many board wipes. Like every card in this deck that isn't a draw spell or the like 2 win cons they play is just absolutely terrible for you.
I mean, I think that like if you just don't run out your pieces individually and give them time to execute their sorcery speed removal, like if you just sandbag your combo and then don't let them leverage a prismatic ending, like then you can fight over the Swords to Plowshares, but like you can just choose not to walk into a prismatic ending and force the prismatic ending on your like mana dorks and stuff, and the game's going to go long enough that if they're spending resources on your mana dorks and going that way, and then you bury them in Nadu, just like don't expose the combo to them and let them use their sorcery speed interaction. Just don't let them do that because you can win around that.
Yeah. Attacking with mana dorks is not the worst thing in the world here. Also, like pressure their life total as much as possible. All right, we're gonna skip over Cephalid Breakfast because we talked about it in the bonus episode that you can subscribe to our Patreon for $5 a month, and you get bonus episode content. Phil and I went into a giant amount of detail about our 2 respective decks that we will be playing at Eternal Weekend. So if you have been thinking about joining us on Patreon, there's no better time than Eternal Weekend to do that. All right, so we're going to skip to Sneak and Show versus Frogniator.
Again, this is it is one of those things where I no disrespect to the people who are piloting Sneak and Show. I think if it's well positioned, it's well positioned. Yeah. But like the game plan against everything is fight over the thing that kills you and then resolve show and tell, right? Like
show and tell.
That's like at the end of the day, like the what don't you see about the matchup is like, okay, well, if it's a specific card in a 75, but like for the most part, it's just don't die, cast show and tell.
You were the control deck here basically against Frogniator, which I think was always the case. You know, Reanimator versus show and tell was the control deck, unless it was like boom, slam the thing and win the game like, you know, fast. But I think here, like, you want to position yourself as the deck that stops them from doing the thing and then do the thing.
Yeah.
Red Prison versus Sneak and Show. I think this is a scenario where Red Prison's actually at its worst.
Just cast show and tell, win the game.
Yeah, if you cast show and tell, they just lose. So especially because like once you know it's Red Prison, you can be the deck that's like, oh, okay, well I have it on turn 1 with a Lotus Petal. I'm doing it. You know.
Yeah.
They also cannot interact with your sneak attacks at all.
Right.
All right, Dimir Frog. So this is the classic like Delver versus Show and Tell matchup, right? Like they're gonna try and leverage your life loss with your Ancient Tombs and using Wastelands to like stop you and Daze to stop you, and all you're trying to do is just resolve a sneak attack or a Show and Tell with like double force backup.
Just run out basics. Don't let them actually leverage what their deck is good at.
Yep. Eldrazi.
Show and tell them.
Yeah, show and tell them. It turns out this is the best thing to be doing. And this is great because you're in a situation where their turn 2 can be a Sowing Megaspawn, and your turn 2 can be, all right, I'll play a Soul Land, I'll play a Lotus Petal, I'll play show and tell and win the game.
In the event, like, just be conscious that like if you win the die roll, like don't fear throw out your Lotus Petals. That way, if you are running into a Vexing Bauble matchup, that it's just not naked in your hand.
Yes,
run it out. If they interact with it some other way, that's fine. But like Vexing Bauble is so prominent right now, they're just like don't have your 0 mana spells not be castable.
Yeah. Sneak and Show versus Painter.
This is a tricky one because you have to play around Red Blast. So like you have to look for the window where they either tap low or tap down to 1 red mana and you can fight over the Pyroblast, or you just lean on Sneak and Show. Or, I'm sorry, Sneak Attack.
Sneak Attack, yeah. All right.
You are inherently good against them because they have to take more time because of the Emrakul in your deck. So
yes, yeah.
The fact that they have to jump through hoops to combo means that you inherently get a little bit more time, so you can pace yourself.
Yeah, I think the deck is playing 3 Emrakul right now, so like it's not like, you know, they literally have to do a lot of work to get it get around.
They have to have the Soul God Lantern into play.
Yeah. Okay.
Mystic Forge combo, show and tell. Onto Nadu combo.
Yes, Nadu combo. So basically you just need to fade like one Force of Will. They're only running 4 Force of Wills in this deck. So like you just want to get to a point where you either sneak attack them fast, and then like if you can show and tell and put an Emrakul in, great. You're going to probably win that game. If you can show and tell and put a Atraxa into play, you're going to need to protect that Atraxa because they're going to get 2 or 3 more turns to do their thing, and you don't have much of a follow up. Like you're going to draw some cards.
If you Atraxa, you flip into recomboing and then you combo again on the following turn. I think this is a matchup where you just want to be fast. Like they particularly while they have dead white cards in game 1, just get them fast, and then game 2 when they board out their white cards, you get to take it a little bit more slow. But they need to. They're playing at sorcery speed for the most part outside of Force of Will post. So like they have to. You have the narrative until they Nadu combo. So, but their Nadu combo requires them to hit 4 land drops or 3 land drops plus a mana dork, where yours is just Ancient Tomb plus thing, and you get to kill them. So. Yeah.
Sneak and Show versus Cephalid Breakfast. You are a deck that plays Vexing Bauble, so like obviously prioritize your Vexing Baubles, but also you are also a combo deck that can do your thing against them. I'm assuming that after sideboard, you have some number of consigned to you have 3 consigned to memories. So there's a lot of sideboard stuff, pyroblasts and stuff like that. That's basically just going to give you a chance to completely wreck what the Cephalid Breakfast deck is doing, as long as you can stop them from being the faster combo deck without having like a backup plan. You're basically the control deck in this matchup, I think.
Agreed.
Doomsday versus Sneak and Show.
I think this is one where you have to resolve your 3-mana spell before they resolve their 3-mana spell. They're just going to be more interactive. Like I feel like it is more or less a tough matchup for you, but their disruption also in like Thoughtseize and such. I mean, if you can just leverage your cantrips to be redundant to be able to beat hand disruption, have multiple pieces of whatever you need, like you're going to need that excess redundancy against discard spells. But otherwise, like I think you just want to resolve your shit before they do. So you want to be faster. You are Ancient Tomb Lotus Petal, like you can do it. Well, they're only on Dark Ritual. They just have more interaction, so you just need to be redundant. But I don't think you're the control deck here. I think they are.
Yeah, agreed. Speaking of control decks, Jeskai Control versus Sneak and Show.
This is usually typically a good matchup for the control decks post board, but game 1s you just get it should be a freebie because they have so many dead white cards. Yeah, and then post board you getting Pyroblast to like fight over any additional stuff that they bring in. I think Sneak and Show is actually going to be favored here because I think most Jeskai decks are going to be under prepared.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think a lot of people are like this is a relatively new thing in the last like week online that Sneak and Show has become like a playable deck again.
I think Sneak and Show is becoming playable because nobody's respecting it right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And it would be that would be the case if Vexing Bauble didn't exist for 8 cast because no one's respected it for so long. But Vexing Bauble just stops that deck from being able to.
It stops it anyway. Yeah.
Doomsday versus Frogniator. We're on to Doomsday now.
I think because Frogniator is trying to combo and you have disruption, like you get to be the disruptive control deck. Because if you can just strand their pieces so they can't go A+B, you're a single card combo deck, and so you get to leverage the fact that you're playing more interaction. So leverage that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Doomsday versus Red Prison.
I think you got to be fast because they're going to apply a lot of pressure. So like
as fast as you can.
You got to go as fast as you can.
Yeah, this is one of those like if you can Doomsday on turn 1 and like pull a pile that way. This is the way. That's the way to be, I think. Like aggressively mulligan, I think is the answer here. Dimir Frog versus Doomsday. This is very much it's similar to the Frogniator, but you're playing a deck that also has the wasteland, like is like more heavily leaning into the wasteland, like and Daze situation.
I think this is usually the matchup where Doomsday doesn't want to Daze Wasteland plus threat, right? Like the classic Delver Shell is not where they want to be, but because they're not playing red, that you don't have to fear a reach, and that's really powerful. So like I actually think the fact that red is obsolete in tempo decks from this metagame, that's in favor of Doomsday. So your worst matchup might have actually significantly improved just because you don't have red mana on the opposing side.
And their 1-drop, like on turn 1, their 1-drop is actually not that good.
Their Nethergoyf is nowhere near as good as Dragon Rage Channeler when you're looking for specific things. So that's like very much in favor of Doomsday for sure.
Yes. Doomsday versus Eldrazi.
Doomsday them fast.
Doomsday them fast.
Don't let them start stripping your mana and doing all. Yeah, just be fast against these ancient tombs. Actually, you just got to be faster.
Yeah. Doomsday versus Painter.
Again, I don't think that this is like really all that difficult because they're going to have to start throwing Pyroblast at whatever blue spells you give them. So just being able to go Dark Ritual Doomsday and then kill them is actually pretty good because they are otherwise not interacting with you.
Yeah, especially in game one where they're not like they're just not at all sideboarded properly for the matchup.
Yeah,
and the only thing you have to do is play an uncounterable Thassa's Oracle and you win.
Totally. Yeah.
Mystic Forge combo versus Doomsday. Just be the faster deck.
You have the free ride to do whatever you want to them.
Yeah, they can't stop you from doing anything, so you just have to win as fast as you can. Mulligan to Swamp, Doomsday, and Dark Ritual.
Yeah.
Nadu combo.
You're so much leaner as a combo deck that I think you can sort of just pick them apart if you want to and then combo them.
Yeah.
Like between Thoughtseize and Counter Magic, you just sort of like, and then playing Mana Dorks, like they kind of have to. They have the gentleman's agreement that like you're not going to pick them apart, and you just can. So just do that.
Yeah. Cephalid Breakfast versus Doomsday. I think this is one of those like it's a coin flip. Like whoever gets to do their thing first with backup is going to win.
I actually think this one's probably a little bit better for Cephalid Breakfast just because they can go A+B in a way that like kills them for free. And if if Doomsday, if you go turn one Nomads and they go turn one Cantrip, they're theoretically dead, right? As opposed to Disruptive Effect. So it's like you might not have time to Cantrip. And if the Cephalid Breakfast player knows that, then they're going to be able to leverage it. So I think it's actually tougher for Doomsday if information is known.
Yeah. Doomsday versus Sneak and Show.
Be the faster combo deck, right? Like,
be the faster combo deck. There's going to be a line like there's a reason why we keep saying this is because like some decks just have one plan. You know, like
the thing about this deck though is that like the one thing the Sneak and Show is not going to want to see is like the disruptive elements of Thoughtseize, Duress, and all of that. But if Sneak and Show just happens to have a hand that's overly redundant, then they can play through it. So I think you just want to Doomsday them as quickly as possible and strip whatever they would otherwise interact with. Because if they put something into play, if you've already Doomsdayed, it may not matter because you just Cavern of Souls, put in your Thassa's Oracle. It doesn't matter if they attracts it.
Yeah. All right. The Doomsday on Doomsday mirror match.
That's more intricate than I'm aware of. I don't want to steer people wrong.
Someone ask Eric Rutkowski in our Discord because there's so much nuance to that whole thing. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable telling somebody.
Call Eric or listen to Legacy Small Talk. They have a couple of Doomsday players on there. They're good guys and they know what they're talking about when it comes to that matchup. So
Jeskai Control versus Doomsday. They have a lot of white cards that don't matter, right? Yeah. All right. Final deck is Jeskai Control. Jeskai Control versus Frogniator. You're the control deck, right? Like
you're the control deck. You have white cards. Don't let them attract you. You can weather anything else. Just don't get attracted.
Red Prison.
I think this one's tough because they have Vexing Baubles. You're going to be a dog game one. You're going to need to swap your Force of Wolves for something that's actually relevant against them game two. But then if you can just leverage your mana disruption against them while you use your white cards to blunt the early onslaught, you should be fine.
Yeah, I think the other thing here is that like you have to worry about their come into play creatures. Like that's going to be the hardest part. Like if they're on the Caves of Chaos Adventure stuff, that's going to be rough. I think
that's why Force of Will getting swapped for Consigns post board. You're not winning game ones. That's just not going to happen. But game 2 and 3, you should be confident.
Dimir Frog versus Jeskai Control. This is the classic Control versus Delver matchup, right?
You're a shit pile of white cards. I think as long as you don't let them leverage their daces, you're favored.
Yeah, this is a great position. This is the sort of deck that I would have hated to play if I was Rug Delver.
You being on mono basics, and then also if you're on basics, to not let them leverage their wastelands, and then you don't cast your shit into dazes and don't let them leverage those, then you can turn it off, and that you have enough ways to rebuild that. Like if they're checking your life total early, you should be okay between Prismatic Endings and Sword Slashers.
All right, Eldrazi versus Jeskai Control.
You're on your mana disruption stuff or bust. Like if they can start leveraging Sowing Michael Spawn against you, you're just going to get
sideboard in your Blood Moons.
You just need to stop them from Sowing Michael spawning you. That's it. That's the whole game. If
you can counter their first play or two and get to 3 mana and slam a Blood Moon, that's where you want to be.
Sowing Michael Spawn. Yep.
Jeskai Control versus Painter. You do have the white cards here.
Jeskai Control is just assuming that you're on Wrath of the Skies, and Wrath of the Skies is going to be your best tool because your Power Blasts are going to suck against them. So you just have to get to a position where you don't die, and then you just sweep up there and annihilate their table.
The number of times the opponent has out Great Furnace, Urza Saga, like a bunch of 1-mana artifacts and like a goblin, and you're just like, I'll do this for 1, X is 1, and you're just like, they have no board, you know?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Mystic Forge versus Jeskai Control. Your white cards are your biggest problem in the opener, right?
The one thing is that you can, between Teferi and Narset, you can sort of blunt a One Ring. Like you can sort of shut that down in a way that's relatively passive because you can bounce it back, or you can Narset turns it off. So like you need to save your Wrath of the Skies needs to be able to hit the Vexing Bauble, so that way you can turn on your Force of Wills to hit Mystic Forge and Karn, because those are going to be your two hard things to solve. However, Fourth Aerolingus is also good against Karn. So if they Karn and downtick get something, they're going to try and liquid metal coating you quickly. But if you
slam it in,
either you Wrath of the Skies afterwards to be able to fight over the liquid metal coating, or you Fourth Aerolingus to hit down their Karn, that way the liquid metal coating doesn't have text.
Yep. Nadu combo versus Jeskai Control. I feel like this is like one of your better matchups. You're just like, I'm just gonna let you do your thing, not win, and then I'm gonna Wrath of Skies or whatever, like clear the board out.
Yeah, the Wrath effects of any kind have always been good against mana dork strategies. So as long as you don't get comboed, as long as you don't get buried by Nadu plus Nomads, you should more or less be good. And all of your leverage points to control the table are going to be pretty strong. And main board, they have dead white cards where your cards are live. So that's going to be the paradigm shift.
I think also an important factor in all that is if you can get a Teferi out and protect it, you get to a point where even if they do get Nadu down and you have your Wraths, you're going to be able to sneak the Wraths through.
Right.
Yeah.
The other side too is that your Teferis can instant speed Wraths in response to them activating something. So they can go in response to activating, if they're going off, like theoretically it doesn't matter if they go off a ton, then Wrath of the Sky should be able to theoretically pick it all up after the fact, no matter how far they went, unless they actually just should have comboed. But usually they have to combo and then attack you the following turn.
Yeah.
And if you have as you were talking about Teferi, then you can Teferi into Wrath to clean up whatever it is. So it doesn't matter how wide they go.
Yeah, it's great. You drew 15 cards, but you had to discard 7 of them at the end of the turn. Sure, you have a bunch of Force of Wills in your hand, but they don't matter because I have Teferi.
Yeah. And remember, Teferi on Teferis, like if both players have Teferis, then neither player can cast instants.
Exactly. Then we have Cephalid Breakfast versus Jeskai Control.
I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, so Cephalid Breakfast has that like 1-2 combo situation, but you're in a situation where, especially if they're on Shuko, your instant speed white cards can stop them from being able to actually do their combo. The other thing to think about here is when you're sideboarding, consigns are obviously pretty good. Having like some onboard graveyard disruption card, like Ghost Vacuum or something like that, and having interaction with their combo as well is like right where you want to be. Ideally, you get to a situation where you force them to go off with a Memories Journey, and then you counter the Memories Journey. All right, Jeskai Control versus Sneak and Show.
I think this was going to be a little bit trickier. I think, like, unless Jeskai Control is set up post board and respecting Sneak and Show, I think this is otherwise going to be a tough matchup for you. They usually will try and combo before you get to your walkers. They don't have to care about Teferi. And the fact that Sneak Attack can put things in at instant speed uncounterable if they can sneak that through, if they can, no pun intended. But I think Jeskai Control is only going to be good against Sneak and Show if they're prepared and respect it.
Yeah, agreed. Doomsday, Jeskai Control versus Doomsday.
We talked about this in the Patreon exclusive, so I'll be brief. But I think that most often the control decks versus Doomsday is you're never going to beat Doomsday by stopping Doomsday. You have to let them Doomsday and just let them kill themselves. So you just have to not die.
Yeah, figure out what your plan is. Either because you have a fourth Aerolingus that you're going to follow up that play with. Thank you for going to half of your life total. Or just brick their plan, and you kind of have to know what their plan is.
I think you got to break the plan because you're just never winning the fight over the singleton Doomsday because their deck is better set because you have all these white cards and otherwise dead stuff. Yeah. You're not redundant enough.
Yeah. Jeskai Control mirror match. I think you just side out all of your nonsense
Yeah,
mana disruption.
I think it's a really uninteresting mirror because it just comes down to like, okay, you stick a planeswalker that's hate, and if you have the red blast, great, and if you don't, then it sucks for you. And
who got to draw more cards, like, right? Yeah,
I really don't think that it's literally slamming a prison deck against each other, and they're just never interesting games.
Yeah,
but just be the first to slam your walkers.
Well, that is all of that matrix. I want to do this like quarterly. I think that it would be a fun thing to do. But choosing whatever the top decks are, and then finding pilots for those decks and interviewing them for next time. So please, if you think that we were wrong on some stuff, definitely comment below. But the next time we do this, I think I definitely want to have like deck aficionados like talk about this and talk about what their feelings are on it. And with that said, thank you everybody for watching. If you get a chance, follow us on Patreon, follow us on whatever. Hit all the buttons down below to like, subscribe, all that stuff. We just hit 2,100 people on our on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and we will catch you after Eternal Weekend.
Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help sustain the legacy content ecosystem. Just subscribing to this channel goes a long way to reminding YouTube that people love and support this format. Now, if you really want to go the extra mile, you should think about supporting us through Patreon. Both the links for subscription and Patreon are right here. And if you're listening on an audio format, you can go to patreon.com/eternaldurdles. Thanks so much for watching.